Greetings! Welcome to the 22nd Early Access Update for Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. We're going to start off, as always, with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful! So what have we got for you this week? We have got, about as big a toy as we could possibly have. We have the M107 A1 50 BMG rifle of ultimate ridiculousness. In case you've never seen just how big a 50 BMG round is, here's a round from the Dragunov, a 7.62 by 54R, ostensibly a large rifle round. And then here's what this monster fires. Absolutely preposterous. So, along with the new rifle, we have a new system to support it, which is actually what took a pretty tremendous amount of this week's effort. We have, let's load that up, a bipod system. So how does this function? Well, basically, whether you're holding the rifle one hand or two hand, you can engage the bipod like so, and you'll know it's turned on in that the legs will point towards the ground. Now, once those legs come in contact with an object, it can be a table, it can be the ground, it can be anything that isn't, physics active and can be picked up, it will weld the firearm into position. So you'll notice that this basically now is rotating around a fixed point, and I can't just say rip it off the table. This is to provide the sort of maximum stabilized firing position. And I can release it, and it's still welded to the table. I can't say pick up another physics object and knock it off. If I want to remove it to reposition it, I just have to reach forward, click the trigger again over the lower part of the bipod, and it will release from the table. So let's get this set up. You'll notice I seem a little lower to the ground. It's because I am sitting in my work chair, as I find that to be the most comfortable position to use this from. We're going to throw on our new optic. This is an 8x32 optic, so specifically designed for this rifle. So easily the highest power magnification for this range. So let's go ahead and chamber around. Let's rock this off of safe. Let's go closest magnification, 8x. Let's blow ourselves up a watermelon. Boom! So, other things to be aware about the way the bipod system works. There is recoil, as you saw there, but it isn't muzzle rise. It's purely a translation motion from the table. I'm going to fire this with my head back here so you can see it in action. And it always returns to its original position. So don't worry about it sort of walking across the table or another surface towards you. Let's go here. There's also a whole bunch of extra filtering on this. You'll notice if I make really small motions, the rifle basically doesn't move at all. And this is specifically to help factor out any sort of hand wobble you might have, as obviously there's no real stock here for us to press our shoulder into. And so I've designed this system around being able to say, hold this controller with both hands, still be able to make really minute adjustments for maximum magnification. Let's see if we can't hit one out past 350. You got to be higher than the midpoint of the reticle. Boom! Second to furthest. Let's see if we can get that furthest one. Boom! Delightful. So much fun. As you can see, this sucker's such a beast that even the barrel recoils when it fires. So yeah, one of the reasons that I sort of fought so hard to get this bipod system working is that I needed to have it working along with a belt feed system if I ever want to do, machine guns. And so this was the easiest of those two things on the list. The belt feeds are just going to be a nightmare of fighting with the physics engine. But yeah, so give this a shot. It is an absolute blast to play with. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the friendly 45 range and take a look at what else we have new this week. So, we're over in the friendly 45 range now, a little over to the right. You can see where we usually spawn over there, and we've got a new station to play with. This is the thing thrower panel. We're sitting on top of the thing thrower itself, and this is for those of you, I know a whole bunch of you have been asking for clay targets to shoot at. They've been added. We can even spawn lock them and give them a throw if you'd like to do it by hand, or we can use this panel here to pick one of several targets. I got a regulation, an oversized, and a clay pot loaded into this, and we can pick the number of throws, the number of targets per throw, and the time between throws for a sequence. I've gone ahead and locked my ammunition panel into place here to make reloading a number of things easier. And also, thanks to a Reddit user, Richard Longflop's great suggestion last night, I also added this quickly. It's basically just a platform that we can lock the way we do a panel to give ourselves an extra table to work with wherever we might want it. And that's in the item spawner as well. So let's get started. I'm going to pull out the 1014 here. And I think we should even be able to use be lazy and use the item spawner here to just fill this up quickly. Beautiful. I'm putting number 4 buckshot in this. Something to be aware of is that the experience of shooting a shotgun against the smaller targets is not going to be accurate to trap and skeet yet. And the reason for that is that you shoot birdshot at clay pigeons, which is hundreds of projectiles coming out of a 12 gauge, whereas right now we're basically relying on, even with number 4 here, having one of our 25 projectiles hitting it. So to actually handle birdshot correctly, that's going to take another week or two. A good buddy of mine, Mark, is currently working on a setup that I'm going to use. It's going to be a special purpose shell that's just going to be for the clay target shooting. Because right now, hitting these little things out of here it's almost impossible. So we're going to shoot some clay pots instead. I'm going to try not to embarrass myself. I'm going to do 2 throws of 2, and we're going to try this out. So begin sequence, bring this up to my cheek. Boom. I wasn't lined up perfectly there. So yeah, also, I noticed testing last night that it just so happens that the clay pots are just large enough that if you grab yourself a rifle with a reflex sight, you're really going to want that hollow sight on there. The clay pots are just large enough to make that tenable, even though I'm actually using real trap shooting distances here. So we're gonna do 3 throws of 2. Once again, we're gonna try not to embarrass ourselves. Pull that right up to my cheek. Oh, terrible. Oh. I swear, if you look at my Twitter, I'm better than this. It's just I've had to record this devlog 3 times already today due to glitches, and as you can see, I'm wearing out. I can't hit anything worth a damn. So yeah, so let me know what you think of this new setup over here. I've made it especially for those of you who just want to sit back in an office chair like I am here and just do some lazy shooting. You can arrange everything you might possibly need around you, your firearms, your shells, your extra tables here and such, and just have a good old lazy time in our backyard range. So anywho, jumping out of VR now, talking about what's going to come up next week.
Yo! So this week's update has been super fun to work on. I must admit I haven't gotten as much work done as I might have intended to, just because I've spent so much time with the thing shooter trying out all sorts of different firearms on it. I love personally just putting a reflex on the Bison and just going full auto with tracers at the clay pots. You know, dumping a mag on like 3 clay pots, being an idiot. So yeah, other stuff that changed this week that's of relevance for the longer barrel shotguns, the 1014, the 590, A1, the spread has been reduced for multi-shot loads. I did some measurement with it and compared it to various sorts of shotgun chokes. And I've brought those in a good deal. Should make shooting at the clay targets a little more tenable. And the OverUnder that has the ridiculously long barrel has a full choke in it. So that should give you the tightest grouping. If you do want to masochistically try to hit the smaller clay targets, that's probably the shotgun that I recommend using, just because you're going to have the tightest and most reliable grouping at the sort of ranges where the target apexes. Beyond that, a few little fixes. The UI panel for the indoor and sniper range. I don't know what I was smoking the day that I was just like, let's put the numbers all in a straight line. But that has a layout that makes sense now. It should be a bit more pleasant to use. And also, the last hit indicator on the paper target system should now always draw on top of the other sort of hit indications. I had a depth sorting issue with that, so that should work. And there were a couple other extant bugs involving, like if you pulled out a spawn locked clay pot and shot it and then moved with movement, the shards would come along with you. That shouldn't happen anymore. Yeah, and there were just a few other things with the sort of shatterable object physics that I tweaked. As for what's coming up this next week, I'm gonna have a couple new toys for you next week, but mostly I'm gonna be doing a whole bunch of sort of back-end system work to prep for some of the sort of larger modes that I'd like to, over the coming months, take from being the sort of single prototype scene that they are in game and sort of moving them into a more robust mode as such. The ones that are sort of at the top of my list are the grenade skee ball, because so many folk enjoy playing it. That's getting a rename to a grenade sky ball for trademark reasons. Whoops! As well as I'm still on the fence as to whether I'm going to take the modular range or the sort of breaching gameplay as the next thing that's going to get a longer form over a number of weeks redo. A lot of it, it's as much as I love them both, which one I pick first is probably going to be based upon which systems need to be built first, and whether I handle scene serialization, which the breaching mode's going to need, or a better definition of sort of target movement animation typology, which the modular range needs more. Something as well to warn you folk, there's going to be an update next week, but following next week, I'm probably going to just move to an every other week cadence for the updates moving forward. And the reason for that is that I have to spend a lot larger percentage of my time on back-end systems moving forward, which doesn't necessarily give you new stuff to play with each week. And frankly put, going through the whole test everything process every week burns a lot of time. And so moving out of sort of what I'd call the prototyping phase for a number of these modes into the build it for final phase, I think it makes sense for me to do that. I'm still going to be doing a devlog every week, just to keep you folks updated, and because frankly put, I'm so used to the schedule, I sort of need it. But in terms of after this coming week, updates are going to be every other week instead of every week. So hope you guys don't mind, but it's the best thing for the game. So yeah, so enjoy the additions, the new toys, and the thing thrower. As I make new destructible objects, what you can fire out of the thing thrower will increase. So yeah, so have yourselves a wonderful week, and I'll see you later. Peace.